28, Genesis 28. Genesis means what? Bereshith. What does it mean? Beginnings. Because it is beginnings of everything, isn't it? The beginnings of everything. Let's see if I can read this. Wayira. I'm 28 and verse 17. 28:17. You want to go back 28:16? No? Okay. Wayomar. Mah. Nara. Hamagom. Hazeh. Hizeh. All right. En. Zay. Ki. Im. Vet. Elohim. Wizeh. Sha'ar. Hashemayim. And he kept on fearing. All right, and he kept on fearing. Who is this now? Who is this guy? Keep on fearing. Who's speaking? Who's he speaking to? And what's the subject? Or, as they say in school, what, who, what, where, when, and why? Jacob, he kept on fearing. Third person masculine, singular, cal, while consecutive, imperfect. And Jacob, he kept on fearing, and he kept on saying. Third person masculine, singular, cal, while consecutive, imperfect. How? Awesome. Ma, it also means how, and sometimes it means what. It's kind of an idea of wow. Wow. How awesome, how terrible, how fearing, how fearful. And it's masculine, singular, nifal participle, by the way. And it means to make one's heart dance in fear. To make one's heart dance in fear. To make one's mind dance in fear. It's terror. It is reverence. It is a exhibition of divine power that causes all of this. Nara. All right. Wira is what it comes from there. You see the little three-letter root down there? Wira. Hamagom, the place, the this, is this. Because if house of God and this gate of the heavens, heaven's gate, this is like heaven's gate. Okay, heaven's gate. This is the very place into heaven. What did the rabbis call the gate of hell? The gate of hell. Where did they say where did the rabbis say the gate of hell was? The gate of hell. Do you remember? Think about it for a while. Cindy, you remember? Brother Abe, you remember where the gate of hell was? Dakota, do you remember where the gate of hell was? Circle, circle, circle. Galilee, the Sea of Galilee. They said the bottom of the Sea of Galilee, it was the gate of hell. The gate of hell. Because there would be sudden storms come out there, and they thought for sure that hell was stirring itself. All right? And remember, when Jesus cast the demons out of the demoniacs, remember the demoniacs, one of them had 2,000 demons in him. And they cast the demons requested Jesus if he would cast them in, See, demons are what? What are demons? What is a demon? Daimonia. It literally means a little god. That's what it literally means. What is a demon? Pneumatology. Pneumatology. All right? Pneumatology. Pneumatology. Here's the whole universe. It may not be round, but let's call it round. In the universe, The universe. No, they're not fallen angels. Fallen angels are different. Out in the whole universe is filled with spirits and angels. All of the universe is filled with spirits and angels, okay? Angels have form. They have form. You see angels and they look just like a man. You will not see a spirit. You'll not see a spirit. A spirit wants to inhabit human or animal flesh. A spirit. Now, spirit, God inhabits every one of us that is born again, doesn't He? We've all experienced Spirit God in our lives. That's our conscience. When you are born again, when you do something wrong, Spirit God spurs you. He does. Okay? Before that, you have the spirit of the world in you. You have the spirit of the world. Well, out in the world, there are spirits that are good spirits. Okay? There are not fallen spirits. Fallen spirits are demons. Okay? Demons. Now, these demons want to inhabit human or animal flesh. Now, I'm not sure about this. This is Phillipsism, okay? Phillipsology. But I think that demons are in some animals that are very bad. And maybe, just maybe, good spirits inhabit animals that are good.
So would bad demons, animals still go to heaven? When you die, because you said their souls go to heaven.
Well, I don't know.
Even if they're possessed by demons?
I don't know. See, this is all out there in the fog. We're going to get to learn a lot about this later. We talked about learning things, here a while back. We talked about eternity and everything else. But just maybe when you see something that is just absolutely exceptional. Dakota had a little horse, Peanut, that was absolutely exceptional. I wondered about that animal so many times. When you see something that is just wonderful, that is different from everything else, it just loves everybody, and everybody loves it, that can cross animal barriers and everything else. Maybe it has a spirit in it, a good spirit. All right, a good spirit. I don't know. But maybe. This is just thinking out loud, okay?
Well, it made me wonder about children or people who are sociopaths.
Well, we know that we know absolutely that there are people that have many evil spirits dwelling in them. They're demonic.
Yeah,
There are a lot of demonic people in the world.
Especially children, they say, you were a teacher, they might know a little bit about it, but they don't want to label them with any type of disorder until they turn 18. And they can make you think they're an angel, but they're a little devil. And they have no qualms about hurting somebody.
Well,
Or an animal.
we have a Adamic nature, don't we? We have an Adamic nature. That's inherent in every one of us. We have that Adamic nature. Until we're born again, then we have Spirit God dwelling in us. But just maybe sometimes, animals may have spirits dwelling in them. We know, we have biblical fact that those pigs right there at Galilee decided that they did not want to live with those demon spirits in them. So what did they do? They ran and jumped. They committed suicide. They ran and jumped into the Sea of Galilee and drowned themselves. And here these Jews are standing back there, and they believe that the Sea of Galilee is what? The gate of hell. All right? They believe that the Sea of Galilee is one of the gates to hell. Okay? So, and they said, It's not our time yet. You're not going to throw us in the bad place yet. You know, it's not our time yet. We know the judgment. It's not the judgment day yet. The demons knew that. The demons know this. They're fallen spirits, okay? They threw them. He threw them or allowed them to go into the swine, and the swine decided they didn't want to live. Okay? They didn't want to live. There are a lot of things that we don't know. But there's things that we can think about. Learn to think. It's a good trick if you can do it. All right, let's go on. This is awesome. This place is awesome. I believe this is the gate of heaven. Heaven's gate. All right? This is the gate where God walks through the door into the humans' lives. Okay? This is heaven's gate. 28:18. Vayishkem Yaakov Vavoker Vayikach Et Ha'avan Asher Sam Mera'ash Ota Vaya'asim Ota Mats Siva Yitzhak Shemen Al Rasha. When I study these verses, sometimes I will go back and I will look at what Kyle and Delish says. I'll go into the rabbinical writings. Kyle and Delish quote a lot of the rabbinical writings, and then you can go quote them. I'll even go back and see what the Ante-Nicene and the Nicene, or some of the what they call the church fathers say. Look around, and then you go into Gesenius and you chase rabbits around all over the place when you look at some of this stuff. At least I do. I can study one word for 40 hours. I have done that a lot of times. One word. Just one word. Just chase it everywhere. Every angle. Brother Hubbard told me, my teacher says, young man, study words. Young man, study words. Study words. And he rose up early. All right, and that's third person masculine singular, Hiphel, wow, consecutive and perfect. And you see those numbers down are 1014 and 1492. 1014 is from Brown, Driver, and Briggs, that book right there. And then Kohler and Baumgartner is 1492. And thanks to Troy and Jeanette Clemens, I have that. They sent it. One of my students sent that to me from all the way from Alabama. Jacob. He rose up early in morning. Vavoker. What does Vavoker mean? It comes from what? Voker. Voker means what? To break. The breaking of day. To break, to plow. Okay? That Voker is a root of a lot of words. Okay? And he took and kept on taking the stone which he had placed. Third person masculine singular, Cal, perfect. Which he had placed at his head. And he placed it, a memorial pillar or monument, and he poured something upon it. We can say fat, oil, Gesenius, and Brown, Driver, and Briggs, they say the rabbinical fathers believe that he anointed this stone with semen, which was his seed, that his seed would be insured to have this blessing. I don't know whether that's true or not, but he anointed that stone. This is very, very, very historical. This is a very famous stone. Okay? A very famous stone. This is Jacob's pillow, or Jacob's pillar also. Jacob used it as a pillow, and he also set up a pillar. And what does pillar or pillar mean? It means monument. Monument. What? Monument. Well, this would be the Jewish people. These are the sons of Jacob. All right, the sons of Israel. And he rose up early, Jacob, in the breaking of the morning, and he took and he kept on taking the stone, Ha'evan, Asher Sam, and he placed, look at that word place there, Shem. That means name or monument or place. All right, that's that whole term there. At his head. And he placed it as a memorial pillar. In Hebrew, or in Greek, it says Stalin. Stalin. All right? And he poured out. All right? And this word pour out there, what does that root of that word mean? What does the root of that word mean? Look at this word. He poured out. He poured out. What is the root of that word? He poured out. Wayichik. What is it? What's the root of that word? That's the root where Isaac comes from. This is pleasure. That word means pleasure. That meant sexual intercourse. It means kissing. It means intimacy. It means smiling, laughing. All of those things. Okay? And he poured out, cast out something, fat or oil, or some of the rabbis say semen, upon the top or the head. See that word rosh there means the head. It's akron. What is the Acropolis? Acropolis. Huh? Acropolis. Acropolis. It's a Greek word. Akro means what? Head or the top of the city. That's where the Acropolis is over there in Greece, okay? The head or the top. All right? And upon the top of this stone, he placed oil or semen. Some type, he anointed it with something. And I don't know, do you have all that writing down there below? Okay, you've got it. Okay, I'll tell you the history about that. Now, I also write down there the stone of Scone. Do you see that? The stone of stone. The Scone, or the stone of Scone. Let me tell you what it says a little bit about the stone of Scone. Now, by the way, they say that this stone over there in England, in the British Isles, is this Jacob's pillow. His pillar or his pillow. Okay? Many traditions state that. I'm going to read a little bit to you about it. The Scone, the stone of Scone, the Scottish Gaelic, An Lia Fail, also known as the stone of destiny, and often returned to in England as a coronation stone. Okay? Is an oblong block of red sandstone used for centuries in the coronation of the monarchs of Scotland and later the monarchs of England, Great Britain, and the United Kingdom. Historically, the artifact was kept at a now ruined Scone Abbey in Scone near Perth, Scotland. Other names by which it sometimes has been known as Jacob's Pillow Stone or Jacob's Pillar. And the Tanist Stone in Scottish Gaelic, Cloch Ka Sina A Hain. Its size is about 26 inches by 16 3/4 inches by 10 1/2 inches. Its weight is approximately 336 pounds. Remember, we know that Jacob was a strong man, don't we? That man could move stones. He moved this stone. If this is the stone, he moved it. It may or may not be. The top bears chisel marks. At each end of the stone is an iron ring apparently intended to make transport easier. In the 14th century, the English cleric and historian Walter Hemingforth described the Scottish coronation stone as residing in a monastery of Scone a few miles north of Perth. In the monastery of Scone, in the Church of God, near a high altar, is kept a large stone hollowed out as a round chair on which other kings were placed for their ordination and according to custom. Now remember about what the kings of England were considered by those people as absolute deity, weren't they? How many of you got a real King James Bible? Anybody got one? You go read in there, and it talks about His highest, His Highness. You know what His Highness means? It's talking about deity. Okay? It says various theories and legends exist about the stone's history prior to the residence at Scone. Legends hold that this stone was a coronation stone as early as Dal Riata Gaels, which they brought with them from Ireland when settling Scotland. The more historical support story is Fergus, son of Ferchard, that is, as the first king of the Scots in Scotland. He is recorded to have brought the stone, and some claim the coronation chair as well, though this is unlikely, from Ireland and Argyll, and was crowned on it. In either case, these legends present a transport from Ireland in connection to the stone Lia Fael, the coronation stone of the kings of Tara. As referred above, the Scottish Gaelic Clach na Sina a Hain Clach Scine and Leah or Leah Fael lends strong etymological support, it says. Legends place the origins of the biblical times and consider the stone to be the stone of Jacob, taken by Jacob while in Haran. According to Hector Boyce, the stone was first kept in the west of Scotland at the lost city of Evonium, founded by Ewan, or Evonium, and its founder have been tentatively identified as Irvine, Ayrshire, a medieval power centre in the west coast of Scotland, with Dunstaffnach in Argyll. The stone taken by Edward I of England to Westminster has been proven by geologists to be a lower old red sandstone quarried in the vicinity of Scone. This account has, of course, limited its history to that land. Didn't go back and check in the Middle East and Palestine to see if that was possibly the same type of stone over there. While many differed in the specific Scottish Pictish origin of the old red sandstone of which the artifact is comprised, the Irish geological origin has been precluded. However, the stratigraphy of the stone's makeup, particularly of the quantity and type of fossil particles and silicites, and diminish a precise match to the old red stone, that the composite could have origins outside of the British Isles, possibly in the Middle East. In 1296, the stone was captured by Edward I as spoils of war and taken to Westminster. It's 1296. It's a long time ago, isn't it? Where it was fitted into a wooden chair known as the King's Edward's chair, on which was subsequent English sovereigns have been crowned. There it is, right there, a little picture of it, okay? I'm going to put this up on the camera up here. We'll have you see that out all over the world.
You know, the Scottish people make this bread called scone.
Yep.
So that's probably why.
All right.
Well, do we have anything famous here other than Jacob's cattle? Do we have a
Jacob's cattle were out there. There's still one of them out there on Taft Highway.
Do we have a stone and things?
Yeah.
They were so
English sovereigns have been crowned. Doubtless by this he intended to symbolize his claim to the Lord Paramount of Scotland with right to oversee its king. Some doubts exist over the stone captured by Edward I. The Westminster stone theory posits that the monks at Scone Palace hid the real stone in the River Tay and buried it in Dún Sion Hill, and that the English troops were fooled into taking a substitute. Some proponents of the theory claim that historic descriptions of the stone did not match the present stone. If the monks did hide the stone, they did a real good job of it. And the stone is still lost. Hadn't been found yet. In the Treaty of Northampton in 1328 between the Kingdom of Scotland and the Kingdom of England, England agreed to return the captured stone to Scotland. However, riotous crowds prevented it being removed from Westminster Abbey. However, it was to remain in England for another 600 years. In the course of time, James VI of Scotland came to the English throne as James I of England. But the stone remained in London for the next century. The Stuart kings, the Stuarts, all right, and queens of Scotland once again sat on the stone, but at their coronation as kings and queens of England and Scotland. In 1914, a lady's handbag containing an explosive device was hung on the back of the King Edward's chair. It exploded around 5:50 p.m., blowing off part of the carved work at the back of the chair. Although no individual was charged with carrying the attack, suffragettes were blamed because of the passage of the recent Cat and Mouse Act. The initial police report indicated that the damage to the chair was minor, but did not say whether there was any damage to the stone. On Christmas Day in 1950, a group of 4 Scottish students, Ian Hamilton, Gavin Bernan, Kay Matheson, and Alan Stewart, took the stone from Westminster Abbey to return it to Scotland. This is quite a stone, isn't it? Quite a stone. In the process of removing it from the abbey, as soon as discovered the stone had been broken, probably had been broken for hundreds of years, and after hiding the greater part of the stone with travelers in Kent for a few days, they risked the roadblocks on the border and returned to Scotland with this piece, which they had hidden in the back of a borrowed car along with a new accomplice, John Jocelyn. The smaller piece is similarly brought north a little while later. This journey involved a break in Leeds, where a group of sympathetic students and graduates took the fragment to Ickley Moor for an overnight stay, accompanied by renditions of On Ickla Moor Bat At. The stone was then passed to a senior Glasgow politician who arranged for it to be professionally repaired by Glasgow stonemason Robert Gray. A major search for the stone has been ordered by the British government, but this proved unsuccessful, perhaps assuming that the church would not return it to England. The stone's custodians left it on the altar at Arbroath Abbey in April 11, 1951, in the safekeeping of the Church of Scotland. Once the London police were informed of its whereabouts, the stone was returned to Westminster. Afterwards, rumors circulated that copies had been made of the stone and that returned stone was not, in fact, the original. Well, in 1996, in a symbolic response to a growing dissatisfaction among the Scots on the prevailing constitutional settlement, the British Conservative government decided the stone should be kept in Scotland when not in use as on coronation. So on July the 3rd, 1996, it was announced in the House of Commons that the stone would be returned to Scotland on the 15th of November, 1996, after a handover ceremony at the border between representatives of the House office and the Scottish office. It was transported to Edinburgh Castle, arriving on 30th of November 1996, where it remains along with the crown jewels of Scotland in the Crown Room. It was interesting that this was done on St. Andrew's Day, the patron saint of Scotland, and that the Queen sent as her representative, Prince Andrew. Provision has been made to transport the stone to Westminster Abbey when it is required for future coronation ceremonies. What other great artifact, and I should have brought it tonight and I forgot. You asked me about artifact. What? The Madstone. In the crown jewels of England is also a Madstone. Talking about these legends. I have a Madstone at home. What is a Madstone? Now, in the book, Shadow of an Indian Star, there was a Madstone in the book, but they didn't know about it when they wrote the book. When my great-great-great-grandmother's husband, A.J. McClure, was bit by a rabid dog, he sent Smith Paul to look for a Madstone. There are a lot of legends. In the Westminster Abbey and in the Crown Jewels of Scotland is a stone in a large silver coin called the Lee Penny. Thank you. The Lee Penny. And it was supposed to be used for magical cures many years. The Indians in America had the Madstones. And this stone was taken from the Persians. It was captured when a prince was captured during the wars, the Christian Crusades and the Muslim Crusades. And it supposedly had many cures. And there is another stone called the Lee Penny. And I forgot to bring that stone tonight. It looks just like the leaf penny, the one that I have. They come from animals. And what they used to do, there is no known cure for rabies. Did you know that? No known cure for rabies. You have to get there at time. But back then, people would ride for 100 miles if they were bit by something, and they would put on a bat bite or a rabid dog bite or even a snake bite if you were close enough to one, and supposedly this stone would draw out the poison. They would boil it in milk, take it out, put it on stone. If the stone stayed on their arm, it stuck there. They left it there until it would not stick anymore. They just kept boiling it, and the poison would come out. Supposedly this worked. Jacob's pillar. We all got into that from Jacob's pillar. Okay. 28 and verse 19. Vayikra et Shem Hamakum Hahu Bethel we Ulam Luz Shem Ha'er Lorishana. All right. And he kept on calling the name Et Shem, the name, or the monument. Remember that word name and monument all means the same thing. Now, which one of Noah's sons was called by this name? This is a name of one of Noah's sons. Shem. Shem. And his name means name or monument. Name or monument. All right. By the way, this stone of Scone and all this, a lot of that has to do with the British-Israeli theory, where the British are actually Jews. And all of that now, British basically aren't Jews. But they could have stolen this stone, got a hold of it. They could have done all kinds of stuff in history. But that stone is no magic. In that stone is no magic. In that stone is no magic. What the magic is, what the power is the Word of God. The promise was not so much on that stone. Jacob applied a lot of credence to that stone. Now, whether this is a stone that is in England and Scotland or not, it doesn't matter. The promise is powerful. The promise is eternal. The promise is held up upon the rock of Israel, not that stone. The rock of Israel. Who's the rock of Israel? Jesus is the rock of Israel. In Matthew 16 and 18, Jesus was talking to his church and to Peter. He said, "You're Peter, a little stone, but upon this gigantic foundational stone, rock, I shall be building my church." The rock was him. Peter said the rock was Jesus. All right. In the Old Testament, it talked about Jehovah, the rock of Israel. That's the real rock. That is the real foundation. There is where the promise is. Not in a rock. Not in a stone, in a chair in England, or any place else. But in the Word and the person of God Himself. And he called the name of the place, the that, Hahu, the that. See, that ha is the definite article, and that hu, that is like a third personal pronoun, a donosticative pronoun. In Greek, we have all different kinds of one. In Greek, it says hu. Okay? Bethel. Bethel means what? The house of God. The door to the house of God is what he's talking about. The gate of heaven. Heaven's gate. The gate to the house of God. And against. We ulam, and against Luz. The name of the city. The name of the city, Ha'er, at first. That was the name of the city at first. Now let's look at the word city. Let's look at the word city. You can look at the word city from page 746 in this book, and it's going to go on and on. 746. It just goes on and on. That's one of the words I chased around one time. Goes on and on and on. On and on and on. The name for city. Goes on and on and on. You can look at it in Gesenius. All the people out in the world are more out there than they are here. Er. The city. What do you think city might mean? Just think about it. What do you think city might mean? The word city. Er. Huh? That's a good idea. Cindy, that's a good one. It actually comes from the word to see. The word see. Jehovah Jireh, remember? Jehovah Jireh. That's the root of that right there. That's the root of it right there. There it is. Just think about it. A city. Out here we have gated cities. Cindy, do you live in a gated area? No, not gated. I live in a wide open country out there. We have gunfights all the time. Wild country. Somebody came out there a while back and there was gunfire going. He said, "That's gunfire." I said, "Yeah, somebody's having a gunfight." Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah. Aren't you afraid? I said, "Well, as long as the bullets aren't whizzing, it's okay. They're not shooting this way. They start shooting this way, I'll start shooting back." That's what you do, When they start shooting you shoot back. The word here means to watch. A city is a place with watchtowers where it can be watched. It is a place that has walls. It is a place that is protected. Okay, a place that's protected and watched. In the Bible days, get some of this stuff off. In the Bible days, I have to get one of these machines here, one of these things that's got more ink in it, I think. Let's just take a whole, that didn't work. Neither did that very well. Here is a whole county. Let's say this is a county, okay? Out in the county, there is a city here, and let's say there's a city over here, and maybe one over here, and one down here. Cities. All the cities in the Bible days were gated. People lived in a very enclosed area. Okay? They lived in an enclosed area that had a gate that could be locked, and they had little houses all over in here. Everybody lived close together. The farmers didn't live out on the farm, in the fields. They live out there. The shepherds would go out here in the fields, but even when the shepherds were in the fields, what did they have? Where did they keep their sheep at night? In sheepfolds. Little guarded areas that had a gate and a wall around it. They put the sheep in here. In the daytime, they would take them all out and got them all over. But at nighttime, they would put them in the sheepfold. And at nighttime, people lived in a sheepfold in a guarded city. They would have guards on towers. And they'd have a gate. So people or animals could not attack them. The reason why the sheepfolds out here was so that the wild animals and so that thieves and robbers would have a harder time getting into the sheep. All right? And where did the shepherd sleep? What? The shepherd, here's the sheepfold right here like this. Here's the door to the sheep. And this is the wall with thorns usually all around. They had real bad, sharp thorns. The shepherd slept right here in the door. If anybody wanted the sheep, they had to go over the shepherd. The shepherd was the door. Jesus said, "I am the door." Remember? All right. Very good stuff. That's all in this word right here, city. City. Did you like that word? Did you like chasing that rabbit just a little bit? Because it's beautiful. The city at first. 28 and verse 20 now. Now we have Jacob's vow. Jacob's vow, Jacob's promise. Vayedar, Yaakov, neither, lemor, in, im, that is, im, ye, Elohim, imadi, Yushamarani. Badarek, Hazeh, Asher, Anoki, Halek, We Natan, Le, Lehem, Li Ekol, U V Ged, Lil Baash. All right. And vowed Jacob and promised Jacob. That word vow there, that means a promise. That means a promise with your life. Now who's he talking to? Who's Jacob talking to? God himself, Jehovah. He's talking to Jehovah. And Jacob vowed to Jehovah. You can put that in there because that's what he's talking about, a vow. Nidar. Why Yedar? And all of it is the same root. Nidar. Look at that. Nidar and Nidar. A vow saying. Kal infinitive construct. Saying if, become. If keep on becoming God with me. If God will be with me. If God will stay by my side with me. And guard me. Yushamarani. He shall watch after me. Shamer. That's the root. He shall watch after me. He shall hear me. He shall listen to me. That's all in this word. Third person masculine singular, Cal, while consecutive imperfect, suffix is first person construct singular. 1036, Brown Driver and Biggs 1581, and Kohler and Bumgardner. If ye shall listen to me and watch after me and hear my cry. Yes. Yes. He will watch after me, he will hear me, he will follow alongside. This is what we call the paraklete. Paraklete, beside, the one beside called. That one we can call beside us. Okay? In way, badarek. Look at that. Badarek. In the way, in the road. Ha-zeh. Ha-zeh. A double zeh. The this, which I, Anoki, going. I'm walking. I shall keep on walking. Masculine singular, Kal participle. Halek. I shall keep on walking. And he give to me lehem. Look at that word lehem. What does lehem mean? Lehem. We have Bethlehem, that means the house of bread. What does this mean? It means bread. It means more than bread. It means sustenance. Sustenance. All sustenance. Bread. Meat. Food. Whatever I need. If he takes care of me to eat and clothing to wear, to be clothed, she'll throw around lil bosh, to be clothed in, to be encircled with. 28 and 21. We shavte ve shalom el beth avi we haya Yahweh li le Elohim. I have returned in peace unto the house of my father, and shall become Jehovah. He shall become Jehovah to me for a God. If God does this to me, then Jehovah is going to be my God. Sounds like he's dealing with God, doesn't it? Making promises and dealing. He is. He's making promises and dealing with God. We ha'evan, hazot, asher, samti, matseba, yeh, Beth, Elohim. We call Asher, Titen, Le, Aser, Serenu. Lock. And stone the this, which I have placed as a memorial pillar. Look at that word, as a memorial pillar, as the root. All right? Look at that word, matsiva, as a root, as a foundation, shall keep on becoming the house of God. This is going to be called Bethel. This is a place that would be called Bethel. And all which you shall give to me, tithing, I shall tithe to you. Now, we realize now that even back in the Garden of Eden, that Adam tithed to God. He gave his part to God. In Hebrew it says that he gave a portion to God of everything that he had. He gave it a portion to God. We know that Cain was a farmer, and Abel was a sheep herder and a shepherd. And we know that Abel gave the right, correct tithe to God, the right part. We know that Abel gave the right portion to the Lord. He divided correctly. He cut correctly. He divided correctly. And he offered a legitimate sacrifice to God, which was the death and the life of an animal that was innocent for his sins. We also know that Cain would not do that. Matter of fact, Cain would not give even a tithe. He would not tithe. He didn't give the right portion. Not only did he not give the right portion, but he gave a cursed offering from a cursed ground. He wanted to offer the fruit of the ground instead of the life and the blood of an animal. And so he was unpleasing to God, and of course, in the end, he killed his brother over his brother trying to console him, paraklete, Brother Abe. Abel tried to talk Cain into giving the right amount to tithe, and he tried to talk him into buying the right offering. I'm sure that Cain had some goat or some sheep around there that he probably had some goats and sheep too, but he didn't want to give one of them. How many pounds of oats and alfalfa does it take to manufacture on hoof 1 pound of prime beef? A lot amount. And Cain was not willing to do that. He was a tightwad and a cheapster. And he wouldn't give the right amount. Cain and Abel were way before the law, weren't they? The law required what for people to do? To tithe. Not only they were supposed to tithe, but they were supposed to give offerings above the tithe, weren't they? Now, in the New Testament times where we come, this was before the law. Jacob swore that he would tithe before the law was ever instituted. Where did he get the idea about tithing? This is the from one generation to the other, they handed it down. And so, Jacob says, well, Abraham tithed. Abraham tithed, didn't he? We know that Abraham tithed to Melchizedek, the king of Salem. All right? We infer that Adam tithed, and Abel tithed, and all the other patriarchs, Enoch, and all the rest of these tithed. And it was handed down. How did Abraham learn to tithe? From his father. And from his father, and from his father, and from his father. And now we have Jacob stating very plainly in Hebrew that he's going to tithe. Okay? And in the New Testament, It says in the book of Hebrews that Aaron's descendants, when Aaron tithed, it was even accounted to his descendants. When you tithe, when you give to God, your children are going to be blessed in that. Did you know that? That's weird. That's weird. But that's what the book of Hebrews says. That they bless their children in that. If you do evil, will it affect your children? If you do good, will it affect your children? If you tithe, will it affect your children? Well, sure it will. Did his tithing affect his children? Yeah. I think he placed a little bit too much credence on that stone. People have a way of wanting to put too much power in objects, don't they? Good luck charms, whatever. People want good luck charms. The Catholic Church, they have these idols they can look to and pray to. Because it's physical. It's a physical thing. They can do that. The idols have no power in them at all. None whatsoever. The saints have no power in them. What power does the Apostle Paul give you? If you prayed the Apostle Paul, would it do you any good? Not one flip of good. But if you look at the Apostle Paul's life, can his life give you power? By his example of what he did? Can your pastors, can your teachers, can they give you good examples? Can you give the neighbor kids a good example? Yes, you can. Can you give your children a good example? My oldest boy gave me a Father's Day card last night, probably the most greatest Father's Day card that he ever gave me. Said, you don't say a lot about things, you just do things. You help people all your life and been an example. And those examples in words and in deeds are more powerful than any words. Because that's what you've done with your whole life. That's what you've done with your life. It's good. That's good. Because that's exactly what I should have done. That's what you should do. That's what each and every one of us should do. Jacob was a great man of God, wasn't he? The Bible, so many people talk about him being a trickster and all that kind of stuff. Jacob was a victim of circumstances, I think, so much. But I'll tell you what, he made the best of those circumstances, didn't he? Every time God brought him through it. And he just got through promising God here. God, you bring me through all of these things, and I will give to you. He will tithe with his time. Because tithing is time, isn't it? Because you work to get that time. It's time. Everything that we do in life, should have an eternal motive. Whatever you amass in this world really is not going to do you one bit of good. You hope that somebody, when you die, will take you out there maybe and bury you in a graveyard, in a coffin, and put a headstone on your grave. That's what should be. We aren't even promised anything, but people are burned up and their ashes scattered and everything else. Now, the God of heaven is going to resurrect everybody anyway. But I always thought that burial grounds ought to be somewhat sacred. And if you go over in the Middle East, they are. They are. That's Absalom's grave from now on. That's David's grave from now on. That's his grave. I hear so many times in graveyards, especially in America, America is different. They just dig people up and throw them in the ocean. Their graves. To me, that's blasphemy. Well, we don't keep anything in this world anyway. You don't. I mean, if they buried in a solid gold casket, somebody would dig it up, wouldn't they, and try to steal it? Look what happened to the Pharaohs. What happened to them? They dug their graves up to steal their jewels and gold. 29 and verse 1. Let's look at that. Vayisa Yaakov Raglah Vayelek Artsah B'nai Kedim. And he lifted up Jacob his feet. He lifted up Jacob his feet. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked to the lands of the son of the east. All right, he went to the front. The word east there means front. That's where the sun comes up. That's the front. That's the front. He went to the east. Well, we'll start at 29 and verse 2 next week. Is that all right with you? Can we quit right here? We got over into the 29th chapter. We're tripping right along here. Is this the 17th? Thank you for your attention today. I hope you learned something from the Word of God, a little history and a little foolishness out there also. We put too much value in foolishness and not enough value in fact and in God Himself. Not in rocks and stones and wooden objects, but in the God of heaven. Sister Cindy, would you mind dismissing us in prayer, young lady?
Heavenly Father, I thank you for the opportunity to listen to you use people throughout history who bless them and take care of them. And it's amazing to see how you work in the hearts of men and women throughout the Bible to give us examples that we can use as to directions that we should go, and how you can use us to be examples to other people. I just pray that you would give all of us the opportunity this week to be an example to somebody and to help to show them what your will for their life is, as well as your will for our life. I ask this in your name. Amen.
Next week, if I can remember, I'll bring you a picture of the Lee penny, which I was supposed to have done this week, and also a real Madstone. Please remind me, because I'll need some help. I'm geriatric. I had a geriatric mind. Here I remembered all this other stuff, but I forgot that. I got my little thing here.
About Abel and I wondered why God favored one over the other, because one tilled the soil and one took care of the animals. I thought, well, somebody has to till the soil.
Yeah. There was nothing wrong with tilling the soil, but he brought the wrong amount, and he brought the wrong offering. And then God cursed him double. He cursed the ground double because of him. Now, the ground was cursed because of Adam. But now, everything that Cain would have, the ground would be doubly cursed. In other words, it would have twice as much stickers, twice as much goat heads, twice as much thorns, and everything else out there. And he said, I can't bear it. But what did Cain do to make up for it? He invented slavery. He had somebody else to dig his thorns up and to dig his stickers up and to help him plant his field. He incarcerated, he enslaved other people. And that's what every great society was built upon, slavery. All right, that's just the way it is. Thank you for your attention. You think we ought to go buy us a slave or two?
You have a kid.
You found you one, didn't you?
Kid.
You found you one, didn't you?
It's a kid.